Like to recap before we go into the new ones. Can we see the last one that we saw a couple of weeks back?
Visiting India?
Visiting India, that we saw that already. Okay. This we have talked enough of it, so we don't have to go through that.
And
Next.
all I have is pictures.
And the video.
Video. Let me put it down here. It's gonna take a few minutes for the video, so.
Okay. So meanwhile, we can take a look at the pictures. So as you all know that I had a very short trip. This is the shortest trip that I ever had for India. It's like 5 days only. Though I started on Thursday evening, I landed on Saturday morning. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night we started. And then Thursday we landed here. Still my family is still not able to recover from the jet lag. You know that they are not strong enough, or not as strong as me. Okay, so I started my regular routine from Friday onwards. Friday I went to work. Yesterday went to Bronx, and yesterday evening we had a good, the Festival of Light of Tamil group. Went up to 11 in the night, came back, went to bed about 1 o'clock, and I'm up and ready for Sunday. Sunday is a beautiful day. Sunday I get energy from somewhere else. So thank God. And during my 5 days visit in India, we were so busy with too many activities going around. But so as promised, I was not able to visit all the locations where St. Thomas ministered and stayed. But we were able to go to one particular place called St. Thomas Mount, which is called the Bigger Mount. There were two hills. One is called the Little Mount, where there is a cave, and whenever he wanted to go alone, he will go to the cave, go inside and pray. Like Jesus did, sometimes he will go away from all the people and then go pray for a long time, I don't know how long. Same thing St. Thomas did. So I couldn't go to that location, God willing next time. But I was able to go to St. Thomas Mount, which is the bigger mount, bigger hill. So we just had to go on top of the hill. From the top of the hill, you could see the entire city of the Madras or Chennai. So that church was established by Portuguese people. When they traveled, they heard about all the stories and they established the church. So you still see some Portuguese letters and explanation. It's a small but a beautiful church. So I took some pictures. I would like to show those pictures to you. Basu, ready?
I'm ready.
This is where that I mentioned about the Bishop Corey baptizing the Brahmins. So this one that I told you that's in the church where I got married and my brother got married.
Oh, really?
It's called St. George's Cathedral.
Oh, wow.
It's a big church where about 5,000 people can be seated inside.
Oh my goodness.
And at Christmas time, about 10,000 people worship. So, because all around, and the church is always open. Only in the night time they close it. They open by morning 6 o'clock. Every day there is service at 6 o'clock, communion service.
Wow.
So apart from Christians, a lot of Hindu people come. Lot of Hindu people, and anybody, walking, passing by, will come and park their car or vehicle and go there and pray and go. That's kind of a church. And this particular marble is like so big one. And you see the young kid who has the hair like that. The Brahmins, they shave the entire head and have a little bit punk here. So that's how they are. So Bishop Cowrie, one of the British bishops, he is baptizing him. So you just see the picture. Next. And this is some of the stained glass in the church that I took some pictures.
Wow.
This is the close-up.
What is it?
Saint John the Baptist baptizing Christ.
What is it?
That is the scene.
The baptism of Christ, I think, is one of the,
Yes, William.
the baptism of
What?
Christ. is
Next.
one of-
Oh.
Yeah.
His name is the Right Reverend Daniel Cowrie. In the year 18 1835. 1835. Okay.
Bishop of.
The Bishop of Madras. Okay, next one. This is the inscription that I took picture with.
Wow.
It come up well. This is St. Thomas Mount Church. It's a small church, but a lot of people go there. And you see my Lord and my God. That's the
Oh, isn't that
statement.
little?
Yes.
Probably not find out.
Next one.
Probably less, maybe.
He was killed here. He was while praying. He was
Maybe.
killed here. So this is the picture that it says that it was in 50 AD. Saint Luke drew this picture.
Oh,
Mother Mary and Christ.
wow.
I also bought this. I don't know how old. I really can't believe that there is a picture painting like this. And I bought this. If you want to just take a look. And it says Mary, Mother of God, painted by Saint Luke in 50 AD.
I knew he was a doctor, I didn't know he was a painter.
That's
too.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
In those days they had a lot of talents, multi-talented, and they saw and they drew. That's how they passed on the stuff to the next generation, whatever they saw. Okay. And this is by the side of the altar. I saw this painting. Next one. And in one of the entrance, I saw this. Thomas was praying, and there was a bandit from behind who came and killed with the spear.
Oh, gee.
With the spear, you see the picture. This is like a statue made there. Next one. This is the altar. And there is a cross, if you could zoom it.
Oh,
There is a cross inside. Square. It's made of stone, and they're saying that this is the cross. Saint Thomas made it himself. He carved himself. He's an architect
oh,
and
isn't that beautiful? Wow.
sculpture. And he did that. So this is I bought this little piece of the cross. There's an important story that they are saying on this cross. He was praying in front of this cross. He always had this cross. He made it, he sculpted out of stone. And when he was praying in front of the cross, he was killed behind. So what happened? The spear went through his back to the front, and the blood came flowing like a stream, and the entire cross became bloody. The entire cross. So that's why they call this as a bleeding cross.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
About and when Portuguese people came here, the cross was there, and suddenly the cross started bleeding, I believe. And historically, in 2-3 times, the cross started bleeding. So that's why they call it as the bleeding cross, and the Portuguese prayed and built a church using the cross as the altar, in the altar.
And did you say a pirate killed him? Or
Bandit.
a bandit?
Yes.
Uh,
So ordered by local king.
Oh, okay.
Ordered by the local king one day
Okay.
came and killed.
And threatened.
There is a script also above the cross. There is a script.
Yes.
Pastor,
The
Pastor,
script is written here.
do they have just Sunday services like we do, or how
They
is
have
it?
service every time. If any visitor visits, if they want to say a small mass in the
Okay.
name of them, to the glory of God,
Yeah.
you could pay some money and they do it.
Okay.
That stuff. So when I went there, they asked me whether you want to say a mass.
Mhm.
I said no, not now.
Nice.
Yes. So there were several masses, several services every day. Apart from that, Sunday a lot of people go there, and Sunday alone they have 5 different services from the morning.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, next.
It's interesting, the front of Hudson.
Yeah. Oh. Wow.
You see, this is the top of the hill, and underneath you see the city,
The city,
below.
yeah. Look at that.
And this is Pope John Paul. He visited the location,
Oh.
and exactly this is the place that he stood, I believe. So they built a statue for him, saying that he was there. Pope John Paul. He's called Prince of Peace.
John Paul.
Yes. And I saw this interesting sight. There is a path, a small path, leading to Mother Mary, and this is sand, full of sand. And people, if they have some worship, what they do, they walk by their knees from here on the sand. So they just travel from here and go say some prayer. And Catholics still believe that torturing themselves, God will have compassion on them. But what we believe is that God has already suffered and gave His life for us. So we don't have to suffer. Because God took all the suffering for us on the cross, Christ. So we don't have to suffer myself. Some people even torture themselves. They believe some of they just put all those things and penitence they call it. We don't believe in that. We don't torture ourselves because Christ was tortured on behalf of us. Okay, so it was, but that's what they believe in. I took a picture, and this lady was walking very fast using her knees. I don't know how many times she will do like this. And this is the statue of Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa is a Nobel laureate. Went from Italy to India and served well in India, in parts of Calcutta. And she was made a saint by Catholic people. So she is known for her service, the Mother Teresa. This is another in the entrance. There are 2 like a small cave. They have statues. The other side is somebody is killing, and the left hand side is Thomas is touching the wounds of Christ. It's a statue actually.
Beautiful.
And in 1523 they built this church.
Oh my goodness.
1523, and I think it's Portuguese language. So Senhora da I don't know what's the meaning of that. Yes,
Are those Catholic churches or?
yes.
Yeah.
The Catholic people maintain that.
Yeah.
Catholic diocese maintain that. Yes.
That your
There are several small services keep happening throughout the week. You know, we talked about some relics that Catholic believe, that the relics still have some power, and this is like a bone, toe bone, I believe, toe bone, nail relic. So he was killed here, and the body was taken to Saint Thom. It's called Saint Thom, where they built a big basilica, a cathedral, on the tomb of Saint Thomas, and they took away several relics all over the world. This is one of the.
oh my goodness.
No, go back, please.
This is the one right now.
How would
This
you-
is the toe bone relic of Saint Thomas. It's a small thing here.
What is it?
And people come and pray. Suppose if you don't have children, what they do is they buy a silver cradle and then put it as an offering, thinking that God will bless them with the church. There are a lot of miracles they say it's happened. So the other side of this church is full of the offerings like silver, gold offerings. This is a little pulpit on the corner of the church. Old one, more 500 years old, all of them are. Okay.
And I have some pictures of St. George's Cathedral.
Yeah. There's some more pictures about St. George's Cathedral. This is where the bishop sits. St. George's Cathedral is the seat of the bishop.
Oh,
The bishop's quarters is inside the campus of St. George's Cathedral. When bishop comes, this is where he sits. It's a kind of a throne for the bishop. This is the pulpit for and the baptismal was made of marble.
It's very unusual.
This is the altar, all mosaic. This is the close-up of the baptismal. It cannot be moved. It's just stationed in one place. Cannot move it. And this is another bishop baptizing and blessing a couple of local people. If you take a close look, the lady doesn't have a blouse. This is how they are. They are not supposed to wear the blouse. I told you that they have to be topless. Otherwise, they have to pay. They are the low caste people, and
that's not right.
blessed by the bishop, and they got converted and they started wearing nice clothes. Yes, next. This is the other lectern. This is a symbol of eagle in several churches that you could see. This is where they read the Bible.
Why the eagle?
Eagle is the symbol of the longevity. Longevity. The church survives. The word is infallible, and the word stays forever. So that's what it means. The word of God. The earth and the sky will go away, not the word of God. That's the Bible words. This is the pipe organ.
wow.
Love to hear that.
The choir is about 50 people. The choir alone is 50 people. Big choir, and they sing, beautifully they sing. Beautiful church.
And I have some pictures of the
Bagpipes.
Santon Cathedral.
Okay, that you can, yes.
Someone down it. Wow. We had a pipe organ in Florida.
St. Thomas Mount.
St. Thomas, this is the outside.
Oh, this is the
Outside of St. Thomas Mount.
Yeah, I like that church better. Yeah. Small. What is that?
This is Little Mount. I told you there are two hills.
That's right, two
This is
hills.
Little Mount. There is a cave, natural cave is there. That's where Thomas, kneels down and prays for hours. There. So when you go into the cave, you will see the impression of his hands, St. Thomas' hands on the rock. Little Mount. These are all Christian area. When you go on Sunday, you won't be able to pass that fast because it will be crowded like anything. There is a Assemblies of God church by the side of Little Mount where they have about 25,000 membership. And they have several services starting from morning 6 even till evening 6. Yeah, so when they come out after the service, it's like flooded. The streets are flooded. The traffics are jammed and things like that. This is the tomb of St. Thomas. I told you about St. Thome. It's called St. Thome even now. St. Thome, the basilica was built on the tomb of St. Thomas. And when you go there, when you go below the basement of the right below the altar, when you walk inside, then you see this.
Wow.
And this is where they had the spear which killed him also by the side of him. They put a statue, but underneath the statue they have relics. This is the basement. You see the roof on top? The basement. So just below the altar. But there are ways that you could go down and see this. Okay.
That's all.
And the cross is the replica of the cross that he sculptured himself, the stone one, which we saw in the picture as well as in the photograph. Next, please.
I think that's it about the pictures.
Yes. Videos ready?
Video. Is this the 7 churches established by St. Thomas in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, India?
Yes. So when he went to Malabar, which I told you earlier, Malabar is the coastal area of southern part of India, which is now called Kerala. They speak the language of Malayalam. So there is a church, very big church called Marthoma Church, established all over the world, and Syrian Catholics are there. The Syrians who went before, and the Jewish people went before that. So when Thomas went, Jewish people were already there. And Thomas had the ability to go and preach gospel to the Jewish people. Some of them accepted Christ at that time, 2,000 years back. And I also bought some books about the entire history of St. Thomas like this. There is another book which talks about his ministry even before coming to the Malabar coast. Because on the way, he spent a lot of time in several locations on the way. So those things we will talk about it next week. But we will just see the 7 churches that he built. All the 7 churches are still alive, and they have the service till today. So these are all the locations of the churches. Go on top, please. Let's read that. 7.5 churches.
7.5.
7.5 it says. Let's see why they. This is Malayalam language. It's like an artwork. That's Malayalam language. And you see, the Tamil language is also it's a tough language, classical language. This is Tamil.
Oh, the Tamil language.
Tamil language is the oldest language in the world. Okay, so these are all the 7 churches on the western. The 7 churches are Christian communities across the western coast of India, founded by Saint Thomas, one of the 12 disciples of Christ, in AD 54. But he started in 42 itself. He started travel.
Pastor,
Yes.
so St. Thomas spoke Tamil?
There is no. I'm sure that he would have learnt both Malayalam and Tamil, because that's what the missionaries do. The moment they go to one particular location, they learn the language. So I'm sure Thomas would have spoken several languages on the way he would have picked up, because each and every place he stayed for a while, maybe 1 year or more, and he would have learnt both Malayalam. At that time, Malayalam was not different from Tamil, because Tamil is the origin of all Dravidian languages. Some of the other languages were the branch of Tamil. So may not be different from Tamil at that time. The Malayalam, Tamil would have been one. Only about 1,000 years the languages became different. So we definitely would have spoken the language of Tamil.
Now, the Lutheran evangelical churches, they're not that elaborate, right?
The Lutheran churches are about 500 years old.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
that's
they're
the time.
simpler, and they're not that rich looking.
The Catholics went first.
Yeah.
The Protestants, because Catholics were original people, no? So, but Protestants came only last 500 years, and after Martin Luther. And then the British missionaries went, American missionaries went from all over the world, Portuguese, Syrian, all over the world people went and learned their language. And I brought another piece that I bought to show it to you. When the missionaries, the Lutheran missionaries went to a place called Tranquebar, southern part of India, they learned Tamil language, they translated Bible into Tamil, because originally there is no translation allowed. Only after Martin Luther the translation was done. Otherwise the service, everything will happen only in Latin. Latin. People won't understand. The entire service, nobody will understand. But some of the prayers they will know by heart. So they will just recite the prayers, but they will not know the meaning of it. But after Martin Luther, he translated the Bible into German. That's the first translation. And then King James Version came by British people, and then it got translated into several languages. When Lutheran missionaries went to Tamil Nadu, they were the first people to translate Bible into Tamil language, and till date we use the same thing. We use the same translation was done by, and they established the printing press. The first print was done by Lutheran missionaries. So Lutheran church is also a big church comparatively. But as I told you, several missionaries came and established several churches, like Anglican churches, American mission churches, European churches, Spanish, Methodist, Episcopal. All these churches
Mormons?
Yes.
Mormons too.
Yeah. Say it again.
Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses.
They are now Christians. I don't consider them as Christians. Okay. But all these churches, when they got established, all the Christian churches established, one day all the leaders came together and said, we don't have to be separate. A few Episcopal, Methodist, Baptist, Anglican, American mission, they all joined together, and they said we have to be united so that the church will grow. So that's how they founded the Church of India.
Oh,
They all joined together. So St. George's Cathedral is actually an Anglican church established by British people. You know, there is a big cemetery in the campus. It's a very big campus. About over 50 people are working on, full-time people inside the cathedral. There are about 3 pastors there, and deacons and deacon. A lot of people work there on full-time basis, and the cemeteries are 17th century cemeteries you could see. And we also went to my father's cemetery inside. We said a prayer because that was an All Souls Day when we went there. All Saints or All Souls Day. We went there and said a prayer. I will show you the picture of my father's cemetery maybe next week. And so these churches all joined together and established one church. And the Church of India was divided into 2 big churches, like Church of South India and Church of North India. And we all belong to originally Church of South India. There are Lutheran churches, and Lutheran churches did not want to join with the Church of India because they wanted to have their own identity. So they never joined. So even now there are Lutheran churches. And in Lutheran churches there are several divisions. Like Tamil Evangelical Lutheran Church is the church originally established by Lutheran missionaries from Germany. And then there is an Evangelical Lutheran Church of India and Orchard Lutheran Church. Like that, you know, different Lutheran churches are there. And Lutheran churches, when they went to Tranquebar near Tanjore, Tanjavur is the place where Pastor Johnson is hailing from. He is born Lutheran. Okay. So the Tranquebar, the local government allowed them to build a castle, a fort, and inside the missionaries were, because you never know what will happen. So they were all staying inside, established. And they encourage a lot of local art. And this is one of the plate of the local art that I bought. It's an expensive plate, but look at the intricacy of it's made out of pure silver and bronze and copper. I mean, 3 metal.
Next to
This kind of artworks are being were encouraged by Lutheran missionaries. They also encourage the local arts.
beautiful.
Pastor,
Heavy.
the government maintains these churches, like, you know, in Europe, like most of the churches are
No,
maintained?
the churches are not being maintained by government, but diocese, different dioceses are maintaining. It is like government because they have plenty of properties. They established education institutions, hospitals, a lot of big colleges and very big hospitals are founded and maintained by Christian missionaries even now.
What's the relationship between the Christian churches and the Hindus and the Sikhs and the Buddhists? Is there friction?
There is no Buddhism in Tamil Nadu. There is no Sikhism in Tamil Nadu. Only Hindu, Muslim, and so they have a cordial relationship.
They have.
Yeah, so they have very cordial relationship, except with some of the groups, conservative groups. Other than that, they have very cordial relationship, and they come here because they accept Jesus as one of their gods. So if you go to a Hindu establishment, you will see a picture of Jesus as well, along with the other gods. But for us, Jesus is the only God. For others, he is one of gods. And even Muslims recognize Christ because they believe that Jesus Christ is a prophet for them. Yes.
Yes, it looks like a peacock in the
A
center.
peacock in the center. Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
It's carved.
The shape of it is very beautiful. Depth.
Carved with three metal, copper, and this was established thousands of years back, and they still maintain it. It's called the plate of Tanjavur. Nice. Okay. This is one of the churches, Mar Thoma Pontifical Shrine. This is like Orthodox churches established by Saint Thomas. Mar Thoma means Thomas. Okay, Thoma, that's his name. Thomas is English name. Thoma is his real name. And when some people say Thoma the twin, Bible says Thoma the twin. And we don't know the twin.
Yeah.
But when I read this book, I found that he was looking like Jesus Christ.
Oh.
So people say he is the twin of Jesus Christ.
But do we really know what Jesus looked like?
Who knows?
You know, we don't know. So.
Yeah, we don't know. But Bible says he's the twin.
Isn't it?
Thomas the twin. Okay, but he doesn't have a twin.
He doesn't have.
Have a twin.
Oh,
So when I read this book, it says that he was looking like Christ. So he was always called the twin of Christ.
Oh, that's
Okay.
interesting.
So Mar Thoma
That is very good.
Pontifical. They have their own bishop, like archbishop. So this is the place they established. The Kodungalur means the location, the name of the city. Mar Thoma Church. This is Syro-Malabar Catholic Church, again established by Thomas. Syrian people went along with Thomas. So he went with a lot of people together. And there are a lot of hearsay stories that I could see in this book, which I will explain to you. But interesting stories about Mark Thomas when he traveled, because the travel is not a simple one. I don't know how long it took. And he traveled and stayed in each and every location. He established churches and converted people and spoke gospel everywhere. And some of the kings have accepted Christ and things like that. Yeah. These are the 7 churches, the pictures of 7 churches. The architecture is completely different.
It is.
And when Roman Catholic churches came into existence, the architecture changed. Before that, you cannot differentiate between a mosque and the church, earlier times.
Is there a tower just on this side?
Yeah, the tower is behind the church.
Oh, behind it. Okay.
Behind.
There's nothing over on this. I see something there, but
No, it's a cross on the area.
okay.
That's like poles there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's different. The front.
Some Chattu Kolangara Church,
Whoa.
Marthu Syro-Malabar Pilgrim Church is a different location.
What is it? It's like a
Syro-Malabar, Syrians established.
It's like a Greek architecture on top of it.
Because it's wide, right?
Yes.
That's the entrance. It's very wide.
Oh my. I wonder how long it took to build those. I wonder how many years it took to build them.
Covered.
Isn't that something?
Alapula district.
There's those rounded doorways again.
Hi. St. Thomas Ecumenical Church.
Nilakal.
Nilakal Church.
Small water.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh wow.
St. Mary's Orthodox Syrian Church. Niranam Church.
Wow.
That is huge.
It is. Look at
Yes.
that all the way down.
And when Lutherans and other people, when they started building church, all the churches were in the shape of a cross. On top of it, the aerial appearance will be like a cross. So the altar is in the center, and you can sit on 2 sides and then the row. It won't be like a long square. It will be like, like a cross when you see from top of the church. Can somebody read this, please?
Oh, okay. In ancient time, Colum was a famous harbor and trade center, according to local tradition. St. Thomas established a church near port, is believed to have been destroyed by the Arabian Sea.
Next. So you have the video? This is another church, St. Mary's Orthodox Church. It's called the Thomayar Kovil. Thomayar means it's a respective way that you call someone. Thomayar. Kovil means temple.
One, two, three, 6, 7,
It's interesting.
yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so
She talks about the 7 churches.
that's it for today.
That's the
And we'll continue to study St. Thomas, about his history. Maybe in a couple of weeks' time, then we will finish and start here.
In Revelation.